Hello, this is the start of a new series about Mercury through the houses, and I thought we'd just talk about Mercury a little bit first and get to know what it actually indicates. So, in the natural zodiac, Mercury rules uh, third house and sixth house, Gemini and Virgo. So they're both of them are actually dual houses. One is air sign, Gemini. The other one is an earth sign, which is Virgo. So they're both very, very important houses. They're both Upachaya houses, which means they're big time, and once you start working with them, they start to get better. And this is really very much indicative of what Mercury is, because Sun is the king, Moon is the queen, and this is their son, their child. So there is, wherever we have in our charts Mercury, we are slightly immature about it, because obviously this is about young children, kids, youth, adolescents, students. So this is all very much about the process of growing and things in wherever. Then once we apply ourselves, things get better. So there is a naivety about the house that Mercury resides in our chart. So I thought we'd just have a look and just see, what kind of things are indications for Mercury. So Mercury is obviously communication, because it rules the third house of natural zodiac. So you're born in the first, in the second one, obviously you're with family, you start to speak. And then third house is you start to move, express yourself, communicate what your needs are. So it's very much about self-expression. And you start using your hands and gestures, so as a baby, you see that they know what it is to say goodbye. They just, if they don't like something, they can use their hands and just like push the food away if they don't want to. So it's very much about like learning to let the others how you are feeling, and that actually never leaves you. And we know, all of us in life, that people who have the most fulfilling lives and relationships are the people who can actually express themselves fully, let the people know they kind of know, they know their own boundaries. They just know how, when things doesn't sound right, they can just communicate it. And those are friends and family members that we respect most, because we know that if they don't want to do anything, they can't be persuaded really, and they know themselves, they know their mind. Sometimes they're a little bit willful, but nonetheless, though, it's not a bad thing. So it actually rules Mercury rules friends, siblings, communication, any form of communication, rules the arts, rules things like intellect. I think Sun is intelligence and Mars is logic, but Mercury is practical and intellectual, and that's, I think, one of the things that Sage Gemini says about the sixth house, is that it's an important sign of the zodiac, because it's like literally how you get by day to day, how you manage yourself, manage your life, manage your money. Without a good Mercury, people can hoard, people can't, they just cannot, they become like victims of their own weakness, if you like, in relationships, in jobs, etc., where they can't express themselves, and people think that they're okay with the status quo, and then there's just misunderstanding going on there. So it is a very, very important thing. But obviously, both third and sixth house, there are Upachaya houses, so they do get better with time. But generally speaking, because it rules friends, neighbours, siblings, and your colleagues as well, so it's literally is how we kind of interact with people, friendships, associates, those kind of things are all very Mercurial things. Mercury rules currency, stock exchange, stock market. It any kind of work which is paperwork, like clerical work, learning, students, schools, any form of travel, moving around, exercise, being active, being out and about, hobbies and interests. I mean, it's such an important planet. Jobs to do with computer as well, so any form of technology, mobile phones, computers, satellite dishes, anything like that is all to do with graphic design, marketing, visual arts generally, things you make with your hands, any form of talents and skills, courses that you do to learn things that then they can apply to your life. All of those are to do with your third house, which is all to do with Mercury. So Mercury is siblings, and obviously in the third house, it's also your will and your bravery as well, because this is when you've been born, you start to talk, then you start to express yourself, and you start to become brave. This is probably the time when your brother or sister, younger or older brother and sister, they come and take your toy away, and you have to fight for your toy, because this is like, no, this is mine. So you have to be brave and tell the person no, set boundaries and allow them, or if they do something wrong, you kind of brave it and say, don't do it, don't touch my toy, don't eat my sweets, things like that. So it's that kind of thing as well. It says also it rules fast food, because it's a fast moving planet, and so this is when you meet up with friends, go for a cafe, go to their coffee shop, have a coffee, and maybe an express sort of food like sandwiches and pizza. All those sort of takeaway foods, fast foods, are all ruled by Mercury. So, and it's obviously travel, but short distance travel is ruled by Mercury. And so this is the reason why when you're actually working, because Mercury likes to be busy, and is curious as a planet. So when you actually get really stuck on a project, it's really good to start moving. Just go for a short walk or make yourself a drink and just move around a little bit, and that kind of helps Mercury, develop things. It's strong in the first house, so it gets directional strength in the first house. But it also means that in the first house there is things that needs to be developed, because wherever Mercury is in our chart, that's where we are a little bit young about it, a bit naive and immature maybe even about it, because we don't really, it's a young thing, it's a young planet, and it needs to develop over time, and things just get better with time. However, in the first house, it will always have that real focus. From there, it will be aspecting your seventh house, so it indicates that you want to be with somebody, because Mercury also rules games and having fun, doing fun things, comedy, being comedic, jokes, things like that. So it likes a bit of banter. And so when it's aspect in the seventh house, you want to be with somebody who maybe was your friend, you can be friendly with, you can chat to, you can have a laugh with, and do like fun things together, like go to dance classes together, or you go to, I don't know, go to walking groups, or just kind of interact, go to the cinema together, travel together quite a lot. They like that. They like somebody who's active. They go maybe to hikes and go skiing together and things like that. So these will be very important to them. And it also rules kind of interaction in terms of business and commerce. It's all ruled by by Mercury as well. Mercury does make the person, particularly if it's strong in their chart, multi-talented, because they want to know a little bit about everything. And you find that when you have Mercury Dasha or Mahadasha, as Mahadasha or the Subdasha, Antardasha, you actually get interested in all forms of different things. If it falls like in your, because it's data and information, and particularly if it falls in your 8th house during a Dasha, you want to do research to gain more information. You're just hungry for information. And it rules as a planet, obviously 3rd house rules your hands, your arms and shoulders, and in the 6th house rules your digestive system. And so, and the Mercury in the first house or anything like that will actually, you also kind of notice that he has got third and sixth house indications as well, but obviously in different houses that house indications will come into it as well. So Mercury does really well obviously in Gemini because it rules Gemini, and it also rules Virgo. Virgo is not just own house, but at 15 degrees is actually also the exaltation degree of Mercury. And from 15 to 20 degrees, it's actually, I probably say the rest of it, it's like more Trachona sign, which means like the head office of very comfortable there. And it also is debilitated in Pisces. And obviously, you know, Mercury is friendly with the Sun, Venus and Saturn and Rahu, Ketu. But it very much struggles with Jupiter and also with Mars. These are the two planets that are not good with for Mercury. Mercury does, if it is close to Saturn, it will have issues because obviously it means that it develops even later. There's a shyness about it, has difficulty expressing itself, and there's always like, particularly because it is also a planet that's it's an earthy planet, even though it rules an air sign and an earth sign, but generally speaking it is an earthy sign. It likes material things, and so when it is in earthy signs, it can have a jealousy issue as well, because it is the green-eyed thing as well, you know, because it's immature about things, so it can have like those things as well. So so generally speaking though, if it is in an earthy sign or in earthy planet nakshatras, person has got to really work in order to move forward, not to actually be hung up on what other people have or what other people did, and actually just free themselves of all that and then just move themselves forward. Because when you work with Mercury really well, Mercury gives you a lot of things in life because it's a fun planet, and why wouldn't you want to have all the fun in your life? So, and obviously this is going to be about a sort of like a Mercury that's not in conjunction or aspected by any planets. I'm just going to give you the purest form, and it naturally also rules the skin, and rules respiratory system, and also your nervous system and allergies. So you often find when it is either in transit or in a dasha, or if in your chart naturally is actually in, say, in Jupiter sign or in Mars signs. In Mars, it will give you inflammation of the skin, so you have to really kind of, as with anything, it gets better with time. You know, because Mars is impulsive, and obviously this is Mercury's planet of speech, so it can give you reactive, impulsive speech. You say things without thinking, because that's what Mars does. You know, sort of agitates Mercury, and that can happen with conjunction, aspect, or Mercury sitting in Mars's sign. So that can happen. That can happen the opposite as well if Mars is in Mercury signs too. When it is with Jupiter, or in Jupiter nakshatras, or in Jupiter signs, or Jupiter also in Mercury signs, they're opposites, and they really are very different agenda. So Mercury is a bit gossipy, and it's a little bit fickle because it's a planet of fast moving. It's young, and obviously, you know, Jupiter is wisdom, the wise one, the older one, you know. So and so there is like a gender issue there. So that can also, because also what happens with Jupiter expands everything as well. So you'll find that the person who has that, they can't stop talking. And sometimes even if it's happening in, like, say, for example, in transit, you can't help yourself but just like over talking. It's such a chatty, or if Rahu does the same thing, expands like the speech, but not in a bad way. But with Jupiter it does, because Jupiter just can't stop it, because it expands it. And Jupiter can be a little bit like what's the Jupiter is a little bit like I know best kind of thing. So it gives that kind of it projects that onto Mercury as well, so things come out like that. And sometimes it creates problems with the nervous system, and obviously because Jupiter rules liver, we can actually start having liver issues. So we have to be careful about those kind of things. Be just working on our planets, because remember, our planets are us. It's how we. So once you can actually work with wisdom with everything. But I really do think it's a wonderful, wonderful way to use your chart really well to your advantage. So. Obviously, because it rules your respiratory system, some of the remedies with Mercury are really easy. So I think Mercury always does better if you got afflicted Mercury, is to always be aware that you need to exercise, you need to be active, and you need to spend time with friends and cousins as well, because six houses, cousins and aunts and things like that. So. And you just want to be like, so do connect with people, do join groups if they are interested in cooking, do a cooking class, carpentry, things like that, because they can be very multi-talented. And it really does you good to do some breathing exercises, meditation, yoga, things like that, but particularly breathing, just learning to breathe, and because it rules the respiratory system, and that really, the oxygenation really helps your digestive system, because it rules the digestive system. And normally Mercury, sixth house Mercury has got issues, but if it's or sixth house or Mercury, or it gives you digestive issues. So you can have all those things like candida and Crohn's disease and things like that can occur because of that. So by oxygenating and slowing things down, it can really help. Just taking, using the best in best things in life. So just wanted to say also, so wherever Mercury is, it will also aspect 7 houses away only. That's the only time. And so what will happen is those areas of your life, you do well to share them with friends, and it kind of, because it's also a benefic planet, it really helps kind of have an approach with it that that things will improve. Mercury is the only planet that changes its nature according to the planets that it sits with. So if it's conjunct malefics like Rahu, Ketu, Sun, Mars or Saturn, it does become malefic. And also, so its nature can be a little bit negative. And also the other thing I wanted to say was that, it's I only take 8 degrees away from the sun as a combustion, because it's a planet that is friendly with the sun and travels with the sun and Venus normally. So therefore, it can actually work really, really well with the sun, as long as within 8 degrees. Obviously, if it's retrograde, then you have to really kind of take maybe 10 degrees. But generally speaking, it does work okay with the sun. It gives good intelligence as long as both of them are ruling good houses for you. But yeah, so the house that they're in, they're definitely going to be, if it is on its own, then it's going to be really good. So anyway, that's about Mercury. Thank you. Mercury in the 7th house. So this is when Mercury and Venus will be combined. As you know, in the natural zodiac, which is Aries ascendant, Mercury rules the 3rd and 6th house, and Venus rules the 7th and 2nd house. Now this is involving Mercury and Venus in a sense, because Libra is the natural seventh house of the zodiac, so it's almost like Mercury is in Libra. Obviously, this is what I'm talking about today is literally about a Mercury that has got no conjunctions, no aspects, and clearly also Libra is a friendly sign. So, but the where you know your seventh house is will make a difference. So Mercury in, say for example, for Taurus ascendant being in Scorpio will have a completely different feeling to it as it will be if it was like the second, seventh house for a Gemini ascendant is Sagittarius. So every sign is different. Obviously, you just got to see, because Mercury is not friendly with Mars and it's not friendly with Jupiter. Therefore, this feeling behind that is not going to be quite as easy. But we are talking about like, just as a general thing. And also nakshatras make a difference as well. Some nakshatras are much more mild and soft in nature, and other ones are quite harsh and difficult. So they also add another layer of color to this as well. So let's talk about like seventh house. This is house of your public image, if you like. This is what people see us. And this is also 10th houses from your 10th house. So it's bhavat bhavam of the 10th house. So this is sort of like karma on the world, the most exposed part of us to the other people. And it's also all the partnerships, marriage, work partnerships, legal contracts, legal partnerships, those kind of things. And this is also the market as well, because you see the scales on Libra, and this is where people buy like a kilo of this or so many grams of this, and this is like how you weigh things. So it's commerce and trading primarily are things to do with Libra. And this is also house of balance as well. Libra is always trying to find balance in life, and it's about justice and judiciary system and export and import. It is like trading, like give and take kind of thing to do. Because it's working with others, so it's a relationship with others where you give and you take. So when the balance is always wrong, if you're always taking or you're always giving, so you want to have that balance in life, if you like, in order to be happy. And so this will be like a friendly sign to Mercury, because it's obviously ruled by Venus, the natural seventh house of the zodiac, and it's and Mercury is a multi-talented, sharp, curious, and quick-witted kind of planet, if you like, and he always travels with Sun and Venus, so they're quite comfortable in each other's company, if you like. So this will be like a business person. So this could mean that you meet your person as at work. It could meet your partner at during a trade sort of exhibition, something like that. It could also be that your partner is very commercially astute, business minded. They buy and sell, export, import, that kind of thing, So Mercury is also obviously it's in this commercial house, and it's also it's a planet of information, data, numbers, and everything else. So this could be all kind of things to do with that comes into the seventh house. It's also a house of balance and fairness as well, and justice. So the person could be very much to do. So they could have like, if you like, they could have. Like they could be barristers, solicitors, legal advisors, legal secretaries, depending on the sign. And this could be also like a legal partnership, if you like, so a law firm where they have like partnerships, things like that going on. And this is so Mercury rules the third and sixth house of the zodiac. So the third house is your skills, your application of your intellect and bringing all the data together. And Virgo will be like very much critically going through the information. So this will be a fantastic lawyer in a sense. They could be dealing with divorce and litigations, things like that, or it really depends. So if this has got some connections to the fourth house, so they could be real estate, solicitors, legal aids, things like that, or they could be like it could be criminal things if it's to do with 8th or 12th house as well. So all of these things have connotations to do with that. So, and 7th also obviously is house of marriage as well. So this person will be wanting to be with somebody who has got this diplomatic justice, fairness, that kind of thing, and somebody who perhaps is in the same profession as them, because also remember from 7th house, this is also aspecting your first house. So they will be looking for somebody who is sharp, witty, intellectual, somebody who's practical, active, chatty. All those things to do with Mercury now comes into this 7th house. And this also could be somebody who deals with stock market or things like that too. So so obviously communication will be highly important, because this is the planet of speech, and that speech will be as good as the sign that it's in and the aspects it's in. And obviously the depends on the ascendant. For some ascendants this could be quite a difficult planet for them. So but generally speaking, this will be somebody who is sharp, witty, and fun to be around as well at the same time. So they can just turn that head, because Mercury is so flexible, so multi-skilled and multi-talented. It can kind of do that. It could also mean that at home, they have a lot of arguments and debates and things with a partner as well. So, but because it's quite a friendly sign to it, so although, obviously it can mean divorce as well, it can mean like discord at home, but it could also mean that they have all these little lively chats, and then they are, it's all, they make up and all is good. So it's a busy life for partner, and basically these people will have the ability to talk and communicate with anyone from any walk of life will be there. So for like Aries ascendant, for example, this will be 3rd and 6th house ruler in the 7th house. So they would want to be friends, because 3rd house is friends. They want to have hobbies with their partner, and they could also be a little bit critical of their partner as well, because it's a 6th house thing. And with the but it's a friendly sign nonetheless. But for Taurus ascendant, this will be their so 6th house ruler is actually Venus. So Venus will be in the 7th house. So it will be like it actually shouldn't work too bad for them, because Venus is friendly with Mercury, but it is going into enemy sign. But what it will do, it will aspect the ascendant, so it will really protect the ascendant. However, it's obviously going to be difficult in terms of Mercury going into Scorpio. It's an unfriendly sign, enemy sign, and it can give really poor speech. It can give problems with respiration, because obviously Mercury rules respiratory system. It could give like skin issues. It can give like the person could be cursing quite a lot as well. So that, because obviously for them, Mercury rules their 2nd house of speech. So, or they could also be like some sort of 5th house stuff going on there as well. So it could be like obviously 2nd and 5th house. So with children, there could be like these speech issues, problems with like children as well in that sense. But it does create a Raj Yoga as well. So, and so it's good, and it's good for money as well. But it could also be like difficult because of the relationship. So, and also Mercury is a bit of a playful planet. So when it is afflicted like this, there could be multiple relationships, just because it's just very curious planet. And normally having Mercury in the 7th house can give you more than one marriage. So not necessarily for everyone, but I mean it can give multiple relationships, just because it is like a dual planet in that sense. For Gemini ascendant, this is obviously going to be the 1st and 4th house ruler in the 7th house in Sagittarius. So for them will obviously aspect the 1st house. It will be quite a lot of informational things going on. This will probably be very much like a teacher's thing as well, where because it rules the 10th house as well. So Jupiter rules the 10th house, and so it could also be that this person could be a teacher, could very, very communicative from there, and because it brings a lot of learning and education, it could be somebody quite academic as well. And they could be a lecturer, they could be like a really good at speech. You know, it could be your mother as well, who's actually very, you know, it's somebody who's very learned and travelled as well. For Cancer ascendant, it just means that the Mercury will be like the 3rd and 12th house ruler, which will be in the in Capricorn. So for that, it will be like a little bit difficult in the sense, because Mercury will be aspecting 1st house, and this Mercury is not a very good planet for Cancer ascendant, because it rules difficult houses, 3rd and 12th house. And so there could be like issues, definitely will be issues communicating with a partner and at work as well. And that can cause issues, losing friends, or, you know, the partner doesn't know what's going on, or the business partner, you know, there's like lack of communications there. So that can create a lot of problems there. And but because this is a friendly sign to Mercury, so it's very important to keep working at it and just persevering and making sure that if you do have problems like that in terms of communicating with your partner or at work, so you work at it, because Mercury rules the 3rd house, and this is like an Upachaya house. So in order to reduce your expenses and losses and everything, if you just communicate better with your partner and other people, that will just elevate the indications in that sense. And because I think they could just be thinking too much and not you know, being able to express themselves. Because also Capricorn, you know, is that sign that contracts things, because it's ruled by Saturn. Then for Leo ascendant, this will be like the 2nd and 11th house ruler in the 7th house. So this is, so literally their luck in terms of money and wealth comes in as soon as they get married, and it's a friendly sign to Mercury. So Mercury does pretty well, and it's literally, because it's facing 1st house as well, it's literally activates a lot of dhan yogas for the Leo ascendant as well. So this is pretty good, and they will have lots of friends, because this is a friendly planet in what is a natural 11th house. So there'll be lots of gains, lots of friends, lots of activities going on with them. And then if it is if you're Virgo ascendant, so this will be your 1st house ruler in the 7th house, and it will be debilitated there. So you can see that how different things can be for different. So this is like 1st and 10th house ruler in the 7th house. So this is where it's protecting the 1st house. So it's definitely will be somebody who is very sort of intellectual, very practical, but probably cannot express themselves really well in relationships and at work. So that kind of makes them feel as though they want to retract in a sense. So it will be really, really good to work on this this Mercury. And it does get better with time, obviously, but it will really elevate your relationships, partnerships, and work prospects as well. But it can give, because any planet in Pisces, it can be a little bit unstable, because this is natural 12th house of the zodiac, and it's a water sign, and this is a very earthy planet, and it really needs to be grounded. So when it is in, particularly in the 12th house of natural zodiac Pisces, it can be very floaty. It can have all these ideas and not really be able to fulfill those. So it needs to just have a very logical way. It needs to use the logic and well, the practicality and intellect of Mercury to actually get things done. But they will be extremely creative. So these people could be fantastic writers, because the detail will be good. They'll be able to express things because they have this like big picture view of life. And, you know, in the end, you know, we get to use our planets really well. So it does work out pretty well. And then if for Libra ascendant, this will be like Mercury, which is like their ninth and 12th lord in the 7th house. So this will be like they're likely to have somebody, you know, a partner that's going to be quite independent, quite active, and but they will be quite solar driven in a sense, because this is a very independent sign, Aries, me, myself and I. This is Aries being the first house of the zodiac, and the 9th house ruler coming in there. So it's really good for Libra. It really blesses that, but it obviously can give the really Mars Mercury issues that we discussed before, where speech can be quite harsh. Maybe sometimes they be impulsive in action and words and everything. But what it does, it'd be really good for contracts, because 9th house ruler in the 7th house creates a really nice Raj Yoga. And then also that 9th house ruler will be in the, you know, aspect in the 1st house. So it's quite nice, well cultured, well traveled, very informative, very skillful partner. It's also the 12th house ruler as well, so there could be a lot of traveling going on there, because it's now 12th house is travel, 9th house is travel, 7th house is travel. So there could be a lot of travels. You could meet your partner abroad, or you can move abroad together as well, depending on what the 4th house is doing, or 3rd house. But it could be quite, you know, quite good in those terms. But there could also be a loss of partner as well. So because A is a dual planet, and also B because it's a 12th house ruler in the 7th house as well. So it could give you more than one partner as well. And then for Scorpio ascendant, so this will be Mercury will be the 8th house ruler in the 7th house. So 8th and 11th houses are also, you know, ruled by Mercury for Scorpio ascendants. It's a difficult planet for Scorpio. So there could be some massive changes in the relationship, and it could also be that they it could be a litigator or something like that who actually deals with criminal litigation as well, 8th house ruler. But there could definitely be like break-in relationship, or maybe a divorce as well. And but because it's an 11th house ruler as well, aspect in the 1st house, so it will it will create more gains and things like that as time goes by, because 11th house is an upachaya house, so you can get better with time, and the choice of relationships will be better. But there could definitely be like a loss of relationship too, and then, or you can lose some wealth due to the relationship, or marriage will bring in some inheritance for you as well. So again, this kind of things can happen as well, but it will agitate the 1st house, because it's an unfriendly planet aspect in it. So you've got to always be careful in terms of things like if you're driving or traveling or anything like that, so that you don't do things impulsively as well. So you know, because 8th house is also accidents, so you just, you know, you want to be always very aware of things. So if you're cutting things, you know, chopping up vegetables and things in the kitchen, always just have your chopping board out and just do things very methodically, like you know, like Mercury does anyway. So, and then for Sagittarius, this will be like 7th house ruler in the 7th house. So this will be pretty good for the ascendant in a sense, because it creates a Raja Yoga for one thing, and it's very firmly seventh house rule, firmly in the seventh house. So this will be a very, very Mercurial partner, so full of fun and just light-hearted, and likes to have lots of hobbies and friends, and it's a very active partner. Very much probably into social media and see what other people are going on, because it's a very curious planet. So, but lots of learning and traveling as well there, in the sense. For Capricorn ascendant, this will be like their sixth and ninth house ruler in the seventh house. So this will be, you can see that already, can't you? It's going to be like, it's not going to be a comfortable position for Mercury, because Mercury, generally speaking, Mercury and Moon, they're two mind planets, and when they're together, there is just too much mind going on, too much thinking, too much overthinking, and it's very restless. So it could give problems. It's also sixth house ruler, so there could be quite a lot of discord and arguments and conflict in the relationship. Or the partner could be highly service oriented and very, or a healer or something like that, that kind of stuff, that connotations. But because it's ninth house ruler in the seventh house, it also creates another very, very good Raja Yoga. I forgot to say that anytime that the ninth house ruler in the seventh house, which actually it does create that with Libra ascendants as well. So Mercury will be the ninth house ruler in the seventh house, and this is very good for law, because it's like contracts. It can really get to the nitty gritty of everything. And Mercury is definitely this is ninth and sixth house ruler in the seventh house of career. So it could be very highly regarded law. Judge, or solicitor, barrister, lawyer, that kind of thing. Could be very good at and negotiating skills will be excellent, in that sense. Mediator, because it's Cancer is quite nurturing, that kind of stuff. But yeah, this could be somebody who is also, because Cancer is also overseas in Gemini astrology, so it could be somebody who's got a certain amount of fame abroad as well. So it could be multi-talented, and it's in a movable house as well. So so it could be quite good. The feeling behind it can be quite difficult, but so this will be a partner that you will not be able to literally be so smart. Mercury, as a sixth house ruler is clever, So if on the right side, it's going to be really good for you. On the wrong side, whoa, so. But they do choose, when Mercury in the seventh house, they do choose partners who are similar to them. So they could actually have this really nice debate thing going on, they're really good exchange. And they probably quite like a little bit of disagreement and making up, so that could be the theme as well. So for Aquarius ascendant, this will be like, for Aquarius, this will be like their fifth house and eighth house ruler in Leo, which is their seventh house. This is a friendly sign to Mercury, and Mercury, like fifth house ruler in the seventh house, will do really well. It's really nice Raja Yoga. And this could be a really good person in terms of taxes and investments and things like that. So those are the jobs for work. Could be a really good teacher, because fifth house is students and young people. So those kind of connotation. But it also can be Mercury as a fifth house ruler, which happens sometimes for gives a little bit of immaturity in relationships as well. So you've got to wait for them to sort of come out of that as well. So, but that kind of thing, and it will be in good situation, because there is a friendly sign to Mercury. And then we have Pisces ascendant. So this will be seventh house ruler in the seventh house. It is great. So it will be somebody who is probably, again, very. It could be that they work in kind of litigation, but it could be all work on sort of properties, land, real estate, that kind of thing, job. It will be really kind of they will be really home buddies, love traveling together with the family. It's a family oriented placement, and it's again all to do with learning and traveling as well, because seventh house is traveling. Pisces is also the natural 12th house of the zodiac, that kind of thing. So I hope that helped, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.